السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Surely all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from our soul's evil desires and all our wrongdoings. He whom Allah guides, no one can misguide. And he whom He chooses to misguide, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, alone without any partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. O you who believe, revere Allah with the right reverence and do not die except as Muslims. Verily the best speech is the speech of Allah, the Quran, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The worst of matters in religion are those invented by people. For every innovation is a bid'ah, a prohibited innovation. And every bid'ah is an act of misguidance that leads to hellfire. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, subject of this week's khutbah is ease. Making things easy. And indeed, a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, well known, authenticated, says that he said, I have been sent to make things easy and not to make things difficult. And indeed, Islam is easy in that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ always sought ease for us. In the Isra wa Miraj, we know that when he came into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet ﷺ was given 50 prayers, 50 daily prayers of the Ummah. And on his meeting with Musa alayhi salam, Musa told him to go back and reduce it because your people will not be able to do it. And so the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went back into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asked for reductions until it came to 5. And this is ease upon us. 5 daily prayers is easy. It's only a few minutes at a time. We've often said the Fajr prayer is one of the signs of a Muslim, one who misses the Fajr prayer on a habitual basis. His Islam is in doubt. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 2 prayers are very difficult for the hypocrites, the Fajr and the Isha. So if we find Fajr becoming difficult, we should beware and take steps because our presence at the Salat al-Fajr and every Salah is recorded, and our attending Salat al-Fajr for the Masjid is one of the things that is incumbent upon every male Muslim. Often, it's simply a question of going to bed early, to be able to get up early. These days, of course, this time of the year, it's not such a difficulty in terms of hours of sleep, but there are other difficulties, cold, etc., etc. But really, this is easy. It's possible, and as we'll see throughout this khutbah, we're reminded that what Allah has made fard, He has made possible. It's not impossible. It's possible. Just you have to go to bed at a reasonable time to get up to pray Fajr. I know at the Preston University here, there's a society amongst the sisters that they have like a Fajr club, you know, they don't meet, they live too far away, but they call each other. They call each other in the morning to make sure everyone's up and praying. So this is some effort. Of course, for the woman, for the Muslimah, she does not have to pray in the Masjid, but has to pray, except those situations that are known when women don't pray. She has to pray just like the men have to pray. Except that for her, it's not incumbent upon her that she prays in the Masjid. But for the man it is. If you're healthy and the weather is clement, you know, the weather is reasonable. Again, here's a sign of the religion being easy. The Prophet ﷺ has said that when the weather is extreme or if there's heavy rain, then we don't have to attend the Masjid. But the prayers have to be said all the same. So this is very important. It's very, very important that our very Islam is called into doubt if we keep missing the Salat al-Fajr. Allah has said, those who follow the Messenger, the Prophet who can neither read nor write, whom they find written in the Torah and the Injil, He commands them for al-maruf, Islamic monotheism, and all that Islam has ordained. And He forbids them from al-munkar, from disbelief, polytheism, and all that Islam has forbidden. And He allows them as lawful tayyibat, all the good and lawful things, deeds, beliefs, persons, foods, etc., and prohibits them for them as unlawful al-khabayth, all evil and unlawful things, deeds, beliefs, persons, and foods. He releases them from the heavy burden of Allah's covenant with the Bani Israel, and from the fetters or bindings that were upon them. To those who believe in Him and honor Him and help Him and follow the light of the Quran that has been sent down with Him, it is they will be successful. A word here about the Bani Israel, the Jews, so-called Jews, they made things difficult for themselves, and they made rules that are not in their Torah but in their Talmud, the Talmud, which is a kind of a tafsir or commentary on the Torah. They have so many difficulties and problems that it's little wonder that most of them don't bother at all. For example, they don't eat the rear of the animal. They divide the animal into half, carcass, and they only eat the forequarters, the front part of the animal, the shoulders and legs and ribs, and they don't eat the rear quarters, the haunches and legs, as the butchers call them, legs, of course, they're all legs. So, they've invented this for themselves. And there's certain fats they don't eat. The dry fat, the suet around the intestines, they don't eat. Allah has not prescribed this for them, but they made it up themselves. And of course we can see in the Hindu religion also, they have so many things of, invisible najis, things that contaminate their food, and shadows that pass over them, and all kinds of silly things that they've made up themselves. So Islam is not like that. Although it has happened with certain sects, that they have imposed upon themselves a kind of tapasya, a kind of austerity or hardship. For example, there are certain Sufi sects that confine themselves. They have a word for it, I can't remember what it is now. They confine themselves to a small room, very, very small, or a small cave, with a piece of bread and a bottle of water, and they stay there for many days doing their dhikr. And they look upon this as something beneficial. When you ask them about it, they say, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to the cave, in Mecca, and he used to fast and he used to pray. Yes, he did. It's true. Before prophethood. After prophethood, he didn't do it. Also, more to the point, he didn't ask us to do it. It's not a part of our religion that we lock ourselves up in a small space and, starve ourselves. It's not part of it. However, this inclination is in the human being and in the unguided religions of the world. Formerly in the Middle Ages, the Christian monks, they also used to impose great difficulties on themselves. Some of them used to go and stand on rocks. They would stand up for 2-3 days at a time without sleeping or eating. No one asked them to do this. And they imposed upon themselves celibacy. That is, they don't marry. And this remains still in the orders of monks, Christian monks, and in the priests of the Catholic Church, that they don't marry. But no one has asked them to do this. Isa alayhi salam did not ask them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't ask them to do this. It's something they have imposed upon themselves. The well-known hadith about the 3 young men in Mecca. While the Prophet ﷺ was out of Medina, 3 young men of Medina. While the Prophet ﷺ was out of Medina, they came and they spoke to Aisha radiallahu anha, and they asked her about the worship of the Prophet ﷺ. What does he do? What is his fasting? What is his praying? And when they heard, they said, Allah has forgiven him ahead of time. He's guaranteed paradise. Therefore, his worship is minimal. But we, being sinners, we can do more and we must do more. And they imposed rules upon themselves. One of the young men said, I will fast every day and will not eat. Every day fasting without a break. Another one said, I will not sleep at night and will pray all night, every night. And the other one said, I will spend my life celibate, I will never marry. When the Prophet ﷺ returned to Medina and was informed of this, he was angry. And he called the people to the Masjid and made a Khutba. And he said, I fast sometimes and I eat sometimes. I sleep at night and I pray. And I marry women. And those who do not follow my way, they are not from me. So he warned us not to invent austere rules for ourselves. And surely the great scholars of Islam, they do that. There's one silly story about Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah alayhi, the great scholar of Iraq and founder of the Hanafi madhab, Abu Hanifa, that for 40 years he prayed Fajr with the wudu of Isha. Where did this story come from? It has no verification whatsoever and has no logical reason behind it. 40 years he didn't sleep, he didn't break his wudu at night. And we know Abu Hanifa had 4 wives. It can't be true. Ridiculous. This comes from Hindu culture. You know, people, they see the Hindu sadhus doing strange things, you know, standing on one leg for days on end and, you know, starving themselves. And there's a place, a thing in India called the Khutba every 12 years. The first time I visited India, it was there. And, you know, they do absurd things, these Hindu sadhus. One had a padlock put through his genitals. A padlock that pierced his genitals. Really. I'm not making this up. Especially in this place, I wouldn't. So you see, ridiculous, devilish, demonic. So those Muslims who lived amongst the Hindus would say to them, look, our holy men, you see what they do, you know, they never marry, they don't eat much, they abuse themselves. Well, what do your holy men do? You marry, you have children, you know, you eat. And so they have to invent stories. They think they have to invent stories. But it's not the case. The Prophet ﷺ clearly mentioned here that those who don't follow his sunnah, they're not of him, they're not following him, they're not of his ummah. The religion is easy. The Prophet ﷺ has not imposed anything difficult upon us. If a person testifies that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad ﷺ is his messenger, he prays his 5 prayers, he gives his zakah, he fasts in Ramadan, and he tries at least once in his life to visit Mecca, if he is able, make the Hajj, then that's it. A Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him, Ya Muhammad, explain about Islam to me. And he told him about the Shahadatain. He said, I testify. And he said it. And what else? He said, there's 5 daily prayers. He said, I will do them. I said, there's other prayers. No, I'm not going to do those. I'll just do the 5 daily prayers. And there's zakah. He said, I'll do it. So there's also sadaqah. So I'm only giving zakah. And there's fasting in Ramadan, and there's also other fasting Mondays, no, only fasting in Ramadan, etc. Went through the 5 pillars. When he left, the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, if this man has spoken the truth, and he will follow what he said he would follow, he will attain paradise. You see? Basically, there's nothing in it that we have to. Of course, if we can do extra, it's good. We need as much benefit as we can get. But we don't have to impose things on ourselves. And it's always the sign of extremists that these things start to appear. You know, Abu Amin Bilal Phillips told us about that group in the early 80s that took Mecca by violence and gunfire. That they started as a breakaway group, and they would look down on people who didn't fast Mondays and Thursdays. They would ask them, are you fasting? And if not, they would turn their back on them, you know. It's good to fast Mondays and Thursdays, but you don't have to fast Mondays and Thursdays. You see, there's nothing upon us except the basics. And what we do after that, we're seeking more reward. It's good, but it's not compulsory. هذا أستغفر الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم أما بعد. We praise to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. We laud Him and call down blessings upon His most noble messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Quran also tells us that we should make things easy for debtors, people who owe us money. The ayah in the Quran that says that if somebody owes you money and you find, you know, his hand is tied, he's short of money, he's going through difficulties, give him time until his situation becomes easy. Then he can repay you. And it says also that it's better even you forgive the debt. And it counts as a kind of a sadaqah. Brothers, can we move up a little now? It's getting very crowded at the back there. People can't get in the door. You have moved up somewhat. A little more would be nice. So we should forgive the debtor if we can, and this counts as sadaqah. And if the amount is too much, or we need what he owes us, give him time until his situation becomes easy. Make things easy and not make them difficult. Just look at the situation in the modern society. Where almost everybody goes from his whole working life to his death in debt. He's owing money moreover to the banks, owing money on interest to the banks. I visited Dubai the other day. I try not to go there too often, but you see, especially around midday, you know, the people going about their work, the stress and strain and unhappiness on their faces, the strain of owing money and being pressed for it, because the modern banks, they don't have this thing of mercy and giving people time. As soon as you fall behind, and you fall further behind, they come and they strip you clean. They take your business, your house, your cars. In the West it's called repossession. Repossession. You see, a man will tell you, I own a house and 3 cars. Oh, you own them, or the bank is renting them to you? Which is it? Usually you'll find wherever these satanic banks take root, and in this country also, sooner or later, every aspect of wealth that you see around you actually belongs to the bank. You see a man with a big house, 3 cars, going on holidays, lots and lots of accessories. They're not his. He's borrowed money from the bank to get these things. And the bank has him by the throat. That's why one of the reasons you find in such a society that people tend to cheat. They cheat over money. They embezzle money. They don't pay their workers, or they don't pay them on time. Because the bank manager is at their throat and threatening them that if you don't pay, we'll take it away and throw you in the gutter, throw you in the street. And a panic seizes the man. And he will do all kinds of haram things. Cut corners, deal with illicit matters. See the jails in the West, and here too. Many of the so-called white-collar crimes, it means that they're not robbers, they're not murderers, or the usual type of criminal, but they've made crimes of embezzlement, tax avoidance, money laundering, these new crimes that have come up. Of course, man is greedy, and he thinks that his life will be easy if he has lots of money, but he doesn't realize that with this money comes so many complications. And especially, we should know as Muslims, even 1 dirham that's taken in a haram way, there's no blessings in it. Whereas a small salary that's honestly earned, it's from halal earnings, is full of blessings and will bring with it contentment. It's contentment of mind, this peace of mind that cannot actually be bought. Allah says in the Quran that only by the remembrance of Allah can the hearts find satisfaction. So our making things easy on others means that we treat people as we ourselves would like to be treated. In English, this is called the golden rule. And you find it in every religion, although less in Judaism and Hinduism, but certainly in Christianity they have it. They say that you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Meaning that you treat people as you would like to be treated. If you treat people as you would like to be treated, then you find that this contentment comes. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was always kind and patient. Of course, the openly evil enemies, he treated them with firmness. But for those Muslims who had some bad habits or some bad manners or some low intelligence, still he treated them with kindness and encouragement. We all know the story about the Bedou who urinated in the mosque in Medina. Being a Bedou, the world is his toilet. he thought, you just pass urine anyway. That was his habit. He didn't mean to insult anyone, it's just what he did. And the companions were ready to throw him out. The Prophet ﷺ told them, leave him till he finishes. That's good sense also, because if you try and pull him away while he's still urinating, it makes a bigger mess. And pour a bucket of water on it. And then he explained to the Bedouin, this place is for worshipping Allah, it's not for this. The young man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "O Prophet, give me permission, special permission for me to make zina." And some of the companions, their hands went to their swords. They were very angry that this foolish person should come and make such an obscene request to their beloved Prophet. But the Prophet ﷺ didn't get angry. Instead he said to him, "Do you have a sister?" He said, "Yeah." "Do you have a mother?" "Yeah." "Would you like that someone made zina with them?" "Never." He was aroused, he was angry at the thought of it. So similarly, the women you want to make zina with, they're also sisters and mothers, etc., daughters. And he understood. So the Prophet ﷺ made things easy for people in explanations, made things easy for them according to their capacities, and he made things easy for them in the dealings of the Sharia, the Islamic law. That the Islamic law is for everybody, believer and unbeliever, man and woman, child and adult, healthy and sick, poor and rich. It's for everybody. Therefore it has to be easy in understanding and easy in application. And really we find when we study these things, we have to be very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's made us Muslims. We have a solution to the problems of individual life, family life, nationhood, economy, all the things that are presented in this short life of ours that cause problems. There is a solution in Islam. We should learn it ourselves, teach it by example, and try and persuade others to see the truth and beauty of it. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. أقيموا الصلاة.